In the world of the young and the restless, the unexpected is always a factor that attracts viewers, especially when secrets are revealed and the villains once again escape the clutches of justice. Complicated relationships, unexpected plot twists, and characters with mysterious pasts always create non-stop drama in the episodes. And one of the most fascinating recent episodes is Tracy Abbott's struggle as she faces suspicion about her long-presumed dead twin brother, Martin Laurent. Martin Laurent is arrested, but will he stay behind bars for long? This is the question facing the characters of The Young and the Restless. Even though he has been arrested, Martin is not someone who is easily tied down. In the world of villains, escaping the law is almost always a possibility, no matter how many strict security measures are in place. Previously, in the previous seasons, the audience witnessed many villains such as Ian Ward, who deceived and created elaborate plans to escape, even having others replace him. Martin Laurent's escape isn't what will happen next. While Martin is still imprisoned, viewers cannot help but wonder if he has an escape plan like previous villains. Maybe Martin will find a way to contact accomplices on the outside, or he will have another elaborate plan. Although the escapes of characters in this long-running TV series are not uncommon, Martin Laurent, who has a scheming and mysterious past, will escape the control of the police will be a remarkable twist. Doubts about Alan Laurent's identity. It all started when Tracy Abbott, the loving and protective sister of the family, felt uneasy about the man believed to be Alan Laurent. Tracy had a moment of disbelief when she realized that Alan had the same characteristics as her deceased twin brother, Martin Laurent. Tracy was faced with a sense of horror that she could not understand, as memories of Martin and past incidents gradually returned to her mind. Realizing that Alan was not Alan but could be Martin, Tracy felt herself pushed into a very tense and fearful situation. She began to seek comfort from Jack Abbott, her most trusted brother. Tracy shared her fears with Jack about whether Alan was really Martin. Being vigilant and always trying to protect his loved ones, Jack could not ignore Tracy's worries and decided to join her to investigate further. Jack Abbott and Chance, a suspicious combination since realizing the growing danger, Jack quickly brought Chance Chancellor into the case. Chance, a seasoned police officer, is the one who can help Jack protect Tracy and find out the truth behind the Alan Laurent persona. The three of them, Tracy, Jack and Chance, set out to investigate every sign that could point to the truth about Alan's true identity. The big question is whether they can find solid evidence to prove that Alan is Martin, or will they be drawn into a maze of secrets and deception? This becomes the biggest concern of the characters in the film, as well as the audience who is following their every move. The return of Ashley Abbott. The investigation becomes even more intense when Ashley Abbott returns. Ashley, Tracy, and Jack's younger sister, seems to have a complicated relationship with the events in the Abbott family. When Jack and Tracy face doubts about Alan's identity, Ashley can't sit still without expressing her worries. However, she is not someone who is easily convinced. Ashley reacts violently when Jack tells her that Alan could be Martin. The reason Ashley reacts so strongly is not only because of the confusion she is facing with the horrifying truth, but also because she knows all too well the danger that a character like Martin Laurent can bring. With a determined and unyielding nature, Ashley is a strong character who always tries to protect her family from the dangers of the past. The tense encounter in Tracy's room. After all the suspicions were raised, Jack and Ashley rushed to Tracy's room to face Alan together. Contrary to their previous fears, this encounter was actually a crucial turning point in the story. Martin, despite being suspected, was unable to completely hide his true nature. The encounter between the three was a tense battle of wits, where the truth was finally revealed. The truth revealed after a dramatic conversation, Ashley boldly declared to Tracy that the man in front of them was not Alan Laurent but was actually Martin Laurent. This was the decisive moment in the entire story, when Tracy and Jack's suspicions were confirmed and all the secrets were finally revealed. Tracy's confusion and terror were now no longer a secret but a haunting truth. With this truth, the next big question is, what will Martin Laurent do next? Maybe he will find a way to escape, or maybe he will continue his revenge plan that he has been hatching for a long time. Along with the suspicions about the involvement of his accomplices, this story will have many interesting details to explore in the next episodes of The Young and the Restless. Conclusion: the story of Martin Laurent in The Young and the Restless once again proves that in the world of long-running dramas, nothing is impossible. Villains always have a way to escape and carry out their plans. However, when faced with the truth, characters like Tracy, Jack, and Ashley will not give up easily. They will continue to fight to protect their families and discover deeper secrets, no matter how dangerous it is. With its rich characters and complex relationships, The Young and the Restless will continue to bring audiences tension, surprising secrets, and the never-ending battle between good and evil. The Young and the Restless, confrontation with villain Martin Laurent. Plot: Martin Laurent is arrested and shocking secrets. Martin Laurent's story in The Young and the Restless is not just a story about a simple villain, but also a journey full of intrigue, deception, and mysterious plots. Villains in the world of The Young and the Restless are never easily captured, and Martin Laurent is a typical example of this. Although Martin has been arrested, will he just stop here, or is there an escape plan waiting, something mysterious waiting ahead? Martin Laurent is arrested. An unexpected twist? After Martin Laurent was arrested, everything seemed to be settled. However, in the world of long-running television series, these plots often do not last long. The story is not as simple as a villain being punished and everything ending. On The Young and the Restless, the characters never let evil win easily. And even though Martin is in custody, his secrets may still contain terrifying truths waiting to be exposed. The first confrontation with Chance Chancellor. In the first confrontation, Chance Chancellor, an experienced police officer, tried to question Martin about the crimes he had committed. However, Martin's answer only made the situation more tense. Martin not only refused to cooperate, but also had a defiant and arrogant attitude. This attitude only made Chance more determined to pursue the truth, not only to protect the innocent, but also to bring a scheming person like Martin to light. For Chance, nothing can make him give up his duty to protect justice. But Martin is a cunning opponent, and no matter how many questions Chance asks, he can't easily get anything out of the criminal. The mystery in Martin's words and actions forces Chance to look for other ways to force him to tell the truth. Jack, Ashley, and Tracy. Cornering Martin later, Jack Abbott, Ashley Abbott, and Tracy Abbott join the fight. When they realize that Martin is deeply involved in their family's past, all three decide to corner Martin to force him to face the truth. However, Martin is not someone who is easily convinced. He continues to refuse to confess, even as the situation becomes more serious. At this point, the confrontation between the characters becomes more intense than ever. The Abbott family, especially Tracy, feel like they are at a crossroads where the truth could change their lives forever. Martin Laurent confronts Sharon and Phyllis. However, the climax of the story comes when Martin Laurent is confronted by the victims he kidnapped, Sharon Newman and Phyllis Summers. Sharon and Phyllis are not only victims in an elaborate crime plan but also witnesses who can expose Martin's entire plot. The meeting between Martin and these women is a major turning point in the story, as confessions begin to come out of the criminal's mouth. It is worth noting that Martin does not simply confess to his wrongdoings but also reveals the top-secret plans he has been preparing for a long time. People like Sharon and Phyllis are not only victims but also important parts of an experiment that Martin has arranged. This adds to the stakes and tension of the story, as Martin's confessions are not just words, but important pieces to a larger picture, with deeper, darker goals. Tracy decides to go to New York when Martin is arrested. Another turning point in the story is Tracy Abbott's decision. Tracy, despite her fear and confusion, shocks Jack and Diane Jenkins by saying that she is going to New York. Tracy's decision makes the Abbott family worried, but they can't help but think about the deeper reasons behind this decision. Tracy feels that she can't just stand by and accept the truth about Martin without taking action. She feels like there is a book waiting to be written from all of these events. Jack and Diane are worried about Tracy's safety, but they feel somewhat relieved when they know that Ashley will accompany her to New York. Ashley's company gives Tracy a sense of security, but where will this journey take them? Unanswered questions continue to arise as their lives face ever greater dangers. Martin Laurent, an unpredictable villain. Martin Laurent is not just a normal criminal. He is a sociopath and an expert in long-term planning. The fact that Martin has been planning his experiments for a long time only makes the story more complicated. Sharon and Phyllis are just part of the experiment that Martin has prepared, but is that all? What Martin really wants to achieve is still unclear. And the big question is, what is Martin's treatment? And what is his real goal in this story? Martin not only wants to punish those who have harmed him, but also wants to test his ability to control the minds and actions of others. Is Martin's ultimate goal to control Tracy, Ashley, or even both of them? Will Martin escape? Even though Martin has been arrested, no one can rule out the possibility that he will find a way to escape. Villains on The Young and the Restless almost always have a way to escape the control of the law, and Martin is certainly no exception. Martin's story may be just a part of the larger conspiracy that he is carrying out, and what happens next could change everything completely. It is possible that Martin will not stop at being arrested and continue to pursue Tracy and Ashley, two people with whom he has a special relationship. Will he be able to secretly monitor and treat them in his own way? Or is there a new danger waiting for these characters in the next episodes? Martin Lawrence's story is not just about a simple arrest. Along with characters like Tracy, Jack, Ashley, Sharon, and Phyllis, this story brings dramatic and constantly changing twists and turns. Secrets, conspiracies, and complex relationships will continue to unfold in the upcoming episodes of The Young and the Restless. And the big question remains, can Martin Lawrence continue to escape justice? In the world of secrets and intrigue on The Young and the Restless, Chance has always been known as a talented, patient, and relentless detective. But this time, his pursuit faces a challenge that even the most experienced detectives must be wary of. Martin, the suspect behind a series of confusing events, is the person Chance needs to bring to light. However, once again, he encounters obstacles from Ellen, Martin's older brother, and also a person who does not easily reveal any secrets. Alan and the blind protection. As Martin's older brother, Alan has witnessed many changes in Martin's life from when he was a child to becoming a scheming and ruthless adult. Martin used to be a pitiful child, but under the strict management of his family, he became an unpredictable man, possessing a sharp but also shady intelligence. Although Alan knows that Martin is not a good person, his deep brotherly love makes it impossible for him to abandon his brother, even when he is facing a severe punishment. When Chance tries to get information from Alan, he only receives short and ambiguous answers. Alan refuses to reveal anything that could put Martin in danger. "I don't want my brother to go to jail. I will protect him at all costs," Alan says firmly. But things are not that simple. With the increasingly complicated circumstances, Chance cannot rely on Alan's testimony without finding out the truth behind the case. He knows that Martin is not someone who can be easily caught, and every line leads to a dark secret. As other characters such as Jack, Ashley, and Tracy begin to corner Martin, a tense confrontation between them and their enemies takes place. Jack, who has always had a strained relationship with Martin, cannot forgive him for what he did in the past. Ashley, with her strong and determined personality, cannot stand still when she learns that her younger brother, Tracy, is also one of Martin's targets. Tracy is a strong woman, but she is not immune to the damage Martin has caused. The three of them, along with Chance's persistence, form an alliance to push Martin into a corner from which he cannot escape. Martin, despite his experience living in the shadows, cannot escape this pressure. He tries to maintain his composure, but the truth gradually comes out through his impatient words. The scheming questions from Jack, Ashley, and Tracy not only make Martin think, but also gradually reveal his true self. When Tracy forces Martin to face the crimes he has committed, his words become awkward and lacking in confidence. At that point, people began to understand that Martin was not just a simple villain but a person with deep and dark reasons. Martin was a sociopath, and this made him a man with a sharp intellect, but lacking in empathy and humanity. All of his plans were meticulously calculated, and every step he took left indelible traces. The kidnappings and plots to destroy Sharon and Phyllis's lives were just part of the larger plan that Martin was carrying out. Over time, people realized that Sharon and Phyllis were not just unwitting victims of Martin, but were actually part of an experiment that he had planned for a long time. What Martin really wanted to test was the ability to control and manipulate human psychology. The treatment he refers to is not a cure, but a plan to manipulate and turn ordinary people into tools in his hands. So what is Martin's ultimate goal? Does he just want to control a group of people, or is he actually looking to carry out a much worse plot? The answer is not always clear, but one thing is certain: Martin never intends to abandon what he has started. Martin escapes and concerns ahead in a surprising twist. Martin escapes from custody. This not only leaves Chance and the investigation team reeling, but also leaves everyone in the community concerned about his ability to continue his schemes. This escape is not only a major setback for the main characters, but also a sign of something worse to come. So, will Martin continue his haunting journey, or will he stop when he sees that things have gone too far? Will he find a way to pursue Tracy and Ashley to New York, and if so, will Martin be able to continue treating them? These questions not only add to the drama of the story, but also make the audience wonder what dangerous steps Martin will take next. The final confrontation: in the end, Martin cannot hide from the truth forever. Faced with his victims, he can no longer maintain his cold and calculating facade. For the first time, the secrets he has kept hidden for so long are exposed, and after a tense confrontation, Martin is forced to admit to all the crimes he has committed. However, Martin's arrest is not the end of the story. It only opens a new chapter full of tension and danger. Could Martin have prepared another plan in the dark, and is the truth we have just discovered just the tip of the iceberg? Martin's story is not just a story of evil and intense chases. It is also a story of the struggle between love and sacrifice, between reason and emotion, between justice and darkness. All the characters on The Young and the Restless face difficult decisions, and in this journey, the truth will always be a precious but dangerous thing. But, how will the story end? This question remains open, and there will be many more interesting, surprising and equally dangerous details waiting ahead.